laughter, the best medicine after all. That's what they say. Trauma patients at the Lawrence Hill Health Centre in Bristol will soon have access to a 6 week course through the Comedy on Referral program to teach them to write and perform jokes based on their experiences with bereavement, depression, PTSD, and so on. Angie Belcher is the comedian in residence at Bristol University. Comedian in residence, that's quite a thing. And she's worked with health advisors to develop the course, and she joins me now. Angie, let me ask you this first of all. Can you? I'm not persuaded by all the people who sign up for creative writing courses that you can teach writing. Can you actually teach comedy, Angie?
Yes, completely. Yeah, there are devices that you can use. There's performance techniques. There's ways to teach people how to structure the narrative, how to give it a roller coaster ride so that you're not always on the jokes, but you're also bringing people down to pathos, then coming up to your punchlines. Yeah, completely. There's lots of different things you can do to teach people how to write and perform comedy.
So these are the forms of humor, as it were. Someone has a mildly interesting thing that happened to them a couple of years ago, and you teach them how to shape that and put the dramatic arc in there so that the funny line comes at the end and all of it. I mean, that's that basically teaching them how to format their life experiences in joke form, as it were.
Yeah, completely. Comedy comes from trauma. It doesn't come from the happy things in our life. If I told you like a really nice story about my day, then it'd be like, yeah, that's great, but what about it? And most comedians are kind of lower status comedians, so they're there looking up at the world, and that status allows us to connect with your audience and connect with other people, and that is exactly what I'll be helping these people to do. But it's not just the tiny little things that you talk about, like the tiny little things in your life, but also some really big things that could happen in your life, like grief or mental health or breakdown, PTSD, birth trauma, all sorts of different kinds of traumas that people might bring to this course.
There's a famous line by Groucho Marx. He said that an audience will laugh at someone dressed up as a little old lady falling down the stairs. But he said for a professional comedian, it has to be a real little old lady. In other words, that the real side-splitting comedy does come out of the darkest and most traumatic things. Would you agree with that?
Completely, and there's different types of comedy. I mean, if you were to look on social media right now, everyone's arguing over who's the best comedian, who's the worst comedian. Everyone has a different idea for what constitutes comedy. And another thing that I'll help people to do is to find out what kind of comedian they are. And luckily, there's a whole different array. There's something to suit everyone. You've got your everyman and your Michael McIntyres. You've got your meta narrative comedians like Stuart Lee. And part of this course will be kind of people looking and deconstructing other comedians to help find out who they want to be on the stage. And the other thing is to find out who you are on the stage. You also need to find out who you are off the stage, which is when the kind of psychotherapeutic interventions can actually help you to heal and recover from your trauma as well.
When you say stage, are these well patients essentially? Are they going to be road testing this stuff in front of real audiences?
For this one, that's a very good question. For this one, I've decided not to. So it's just because it's just the process of writing. However, we'll still be sharing that within the group and videoing it, and therefore still teaching performance techniques and how to use a mic, how to use your voice, your body, and your breath on a stage. But as normally I do showcase when I do workshops, but for this one, it felt, even for me, it felt like I was putting them in a really vulnerable situation. So for this particular one, which is about kind of exploring trauma, it's going to be just the process of doing it. But I'm hoping that I'll get some great feedback because this is kind of about finding evidence for whether this works. You know what I mean? I want scrutiny on this course. I want some qualitative and quantitative evidence to come out of it. It could be that actually participants will say, "Oh, we want to
And do you think the idea here is it just as a form of therapy for people who are depressed, who are in the slough of despond, or are you actually hoping to get some crackerjack stand-up comics out of it?
Well, I love it when people who I teach go on to even try the open mics or go on and write comedy or write sitcom or sketch or perform. I think it'd be great if people come to this kind of going, because often people say to me, "Oh, I'm not funny," and I kind of go, "Oh, that's great. That's a wonderful place to start from." In fact, I often say to my participants, try to fail, try to get it wrong, try to be unfunny, and I'll help you put it together to make it funny. So that would be wonderful if people kind of found some sort of work from this. That would be wonderful.
Well, lots of luck with that, Angie. And if it works with your present group, I could give you the names of a good half dozen BBC comedians who could do with your assistance in being taught how to be funny. But thank you very much, Angie, and a
No
happy New
worries, John.
Year
I
to
hope
you.
to see you on the course,
Let's
and thanks for your time.
Okay, I may do that course. It couldn't hurt. Let's get some
I think
more
it'd
of
be
your comments in.
good.
Morris, that's that's great. Thank you very much for that. Morris on email asks on testing kits.